Hello friends, today we are going to discuss the landmark case Balfour versus Balfour. It is a case dealt in England courts which is also very much important and relevant in the Indian Contract Act. Basically, it deals with the intention to contract between the parties. As we all know, when there is no intention to contract in between the parties, then the contract cannot be said to be a valid contract. It will remain only a agreement. Now the case was related to there was a husband and wife living. Husband had to go out of for a work, and the wife was left behind city as she was suffering from illness. So husband decided that he will pay some allowance for the wife's maintenance, and he left the city. But after some time he found out that the wife was unfaithful to him. So after discovering this fact, he stopped the payment of the maintenance to the wife. Now wife went on to the claim of the maintenance before the lower courts in England. The lower court decided in the favor of wife that it was a obligation as well as moral and legal obligation of the husband to maintain his wife. After this judgment, the husband went on to appeal the lower court judgment, and in the appellate court, the judges held that while promising the maintenance, the husband never intended to bind himself in any legal principles or legal obligations so that they can be later on be enforceable against him. He, for the purpose of his morality and for his marriage, he said or promised his wife to pay him a monthly maintenance to take care of her medicinal expenses or day-to-day expenses. The court considered the relationship between the parties and the purpose of promise in determining the intent of the parties. What will be how the court will determine whether the parties had the intention to contract or not. There were the two main points the court highlighted was the relationship between the parties and the purpose of the promise. Judgment was that the agreement made in personal family relationships are not counted in law of contract. The agreements made between the spouses to provide capitals or monetary benefits does not hold any legal binding authority. The law revolves around the concept that there must be an intention on both of the parties to create a legal relationship in order to validate a contract. The court adopted an objective approach rather than a subjective approach in determining the intentions of the parties. Like in similarly, when a father promises a son that he will buy him a bike if the son performs very good in the exams. Later on, son secure a first position and father doesn't able to buy him a bike. The son cannot go in the court and enforce the contract against the father that he promised me a bike, because at that time father would have, for the motivational purposes or the financial condition of the father was very well at that time, that he promised that he will buy a bike, but later on he could not afford that bike, or seeing the safety of the child he is not able to buy the bike for him at that stages. So that contracts are on more and often on a moral grounds between the parties. The relationship has to be seen between the parties, the consideration has to be seen between the parties. Here one of the argument was also that from the husband side, that the wife didn't pay the consideration to make a contract enforceable by law. As all we all know that agreement plus consideration becomes a contract. So wife, the husband has promised her the maintenance, but wife didn't have gave any consideration to him so that it can become a contract. So that was also the argument, and because of that also the husband won the case. So in determining the intention of the parties in a contract, the basic point is that the relationship between the parties as well as their moral objective to enter into the contract. Thank you.